must be football season. College Football Hall of Famer, former Dallas Cowboy Tony Casillas, back in studio with us for the open mic. We've just seen the new Star facility in Frisco. We got a tour today, and you ever practice in something like that?
No, I kind of fantasize about that. It's almost unreal that that place is the way they built it, the way it is, and it's just unbelievable. Because isn't that the way Jerry does everything?
Over the top.
There's this,
right.
The saying that everything's bigger in Texas. Well, everything Jerry Jones is bigger than anything else in the NFL right now. It's just an amazing facility.
So even at Oklahoma, with all the money they poured into that Sooner program, you didn't practice anything
Well, we had
like
to take a cut and pay when I got the NFL. But, I mean, I just like the way they blended in the history of the Cowboys.
And that's that's the dining room for the players there, believe it or not.
I mean, come on now. I mean,
theater, meeting room,
but it's just amazing of what they've been able to do and blend this. And just when you think that he's done everything that's impossible, I mean, develops this. I mean, that's a practice facility. I think it just really, the way it's correlated with Frisco and the way they're going to be able to use that for high school is amazing. But the Star, the locker room, it's shaped like a football. I mean, everything is just state of the art. And the weight room, I mean, it's just, I think he's thought of everything and then some.
You know, it's funny, we'll talk about Jerry's Hall of Fame credentials here in a minute, but the fact that he can get something like this done, again with help, but you go through that tour and realize they talk about the history of the franchise, but they don't have much to talk about, you know, after about 1996, and that's evident with all the old trophies and things like that. So, yeah, it's an incredible place, it really is. Cowboys are 1-1 in the preseason now after the win over Miami the other night. Everybody's talking about Dak mania right now. Dak Prescott, the backup quarterback, the rookie quarterback, the story of this preseason. What have your impressions of the kid been?
Well, I kind of like to tap the brakes a little bit because I don't like to get too excited about the preseason. But he does have a lot of moxie to him. And to me, he kind of looks similar to a Steve McNair and just the way he moves around, body type, and the way he runs the football. But I will give him this. As efficient as he's been this year, he does know when Dez Bryant is on one-on-one to go with the ball and actually put the ball in a place only Dez can catch the football. So to me, that's been showing me a lot of poise. And again, I think we're always, after last year, with no backup quarterback, hopefully we don't see Dak Prescott, but we hope the guy develops. And, you know, just the long throw there just shows me a lot of poise at a young age. And I think right now he's probably got the best quarterback rating, not only of any quarterback playing in the preseason, but any quarterback that's been drafted in this last year's draft. So that's pretty impressive, Mike.
2 games, about 4 quarters of work. He's 22 out of 27, 338, 4 passing touchdowns, no interceptions, 2 rushing touchdowns. So yeah, pretty good numbers. And as you said, it is the preseason, and you know, defenses aren't game planning for you right now, but still you can tell, can't you? He passes the eye test in terms of the kind of poise that he shows and just the way he moves around back there.
Well, and that's a great point because everything's vanilla. They're not, it's very black and white. They're not doing a lot of things, not any blitzes, but still, you still got to make the throws. And if it's a rookie, it's eye-opening experience because there's so many things you got to pay attention to detail, but it is some progress. It is showing him being able to make these throws and do it in a very, very efficient way.
It's funny when Jerry first indicated, I don't think we may not need to bring a veteran backup in. I thought he was bluffing. I thought he was being silly.
Well, that's Jerry being right.
Now I'd be surprised if they did, just given the way this guy has played so far. Well, I think they found their backup.
Well, yeah, and think about all the quarterbacks in the NFL, and you never know what quarterback's going to hit. And going into this year's draft, I mean, there's a lot of people that had him ranked really high. For some reason he dropped, but still, he's got a lot of going for him. And you never know about that position, but right now everything looks pretty good for Dak Prescott.
You played on some of the best defenses in the history of the NFL. This Cowboy defense will not be one of the great defenses in the history of the NFL. It's going to struggle to avoid being one of the worst in the history of this franchise. On paper, it looks that way anyway. Is there anything you see that gives you hope for this Dallas defense?
Well, here's the thing. I think that I like the Brandon Carr, the way they've they moved those guys from right to left as far as corner. I think that might give Brandon Carr a little bit better as far as seeing the field and coverage. But when you take away 3 main ingredients, we're talking about 2 defensive linemen who are supposed to be an impact in your linebacker. I mean, that's hard to sustain. It's hard to look past that. But right now, it's guys like Charles Tapper, it's guys that have the opportunity to play. They need to find those guys in the depth, and especially when you lose players, whether it's suspension, whether it's injury, those guys are hard to come by. So if you look at it right now, on paper it doesn't look good, but if they can generate some type of chaos when it comes to rushing the passer and creating turnovers, because remember, Mike, last year this team was terrible in takeaways.
Yeah, one of the worst ever. Yeah.
Absolutely. So if they can kind of hold down the fort and get some of those guys back, but I really think it's a point now where they got to rely on some of these younger guys and develop them into really good football players.
You know, their secondary might be all right. I don't know. Claiborne, you know, the reviews have been good on him. Byron Jones, I think, is a good football player. You know, Barry Church is Barry Church. When he's healthy, he's okay. You know, Card, he's not a ball hawk, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I think he's been a more solid player than people have been giving him credit for. And Skandrick's back if he can stay healthy.
Yeah,
man,
they got more depth in the back end and more depth at that position, more than they've had in some time if they stay healthy.
Yeah, but no pressure on the quarterback last year, and it's hard to see it being generated from anywhere else. Rod Marinelli is going to have to get really creative to make that happen. It was announced this past week that Jerry Jones is a finalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He'll likely get in and be inducted next summer in Canton, Ohio, in the contributors category. Do you think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame?
Well, and we talked about this with him on air. It looks like he may well get in before Jimmy Johnson, and I don't know how that resonates with Jimmy. But look, if you look at the landscape of what he's done in the NFL, whether you go back to 1992, the marketing where they didn't have to share revenue, and some of the pioneer things that he's done to brand the NFL. I mean, to me, he's a football guy. I mean, maybe the general manager gets a knock on some of the decisions, but. And you just mentioned it early on, is that look at the star, look what he's branded in as far as a team that hasn't won, not only has that won a Super Bowl since 1995, that really hasn't been prevalent in the big picture of postseason play, and yet everyone loves the Cowboys, it's a star. So I think he should. I think if you look at any pioneer or any owner, kind of like when you look at you know, some of the owners, Al Davis, some of those guys. I mean, those guys have been put their major footprint in the NFL. And Jerry Jones, if you look at that and measure his body work, probably deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. You
know, it's funny. I heard somebody on the radio mention this. I wish I could remember exactly who it was. I give him credit for it. But it's possible Jerry might be the most famous NFL personality who's never been a coach or a player.
Without a doubt.
Think about it.
Without a doubt.
Because and that's part of the reason why he's considered for something like this, his contributions, but just his image and the persona as well.
And I think he really, he embraces that. Because obviously, because I mean, yes, he has an ego, but look what he's done, the stadium and everything. If only they could just win a championship team. But yeah, without a doubt, he is a genius at marketing.
Let's talk some college football now with the College Football Hall of Famer Tony Casillas. AP preseason top 25 is out. Defending champion Alabama at #1. Clemson, your Oklahoma Sooners, 3rd. You see the rest of the top 5. TCU's at 13, Oklahoma State 21, and Baylor at 23.
But where's the Hawkeyes?
Hawkeyes are 17th, actually.
Oh, okay.
If you must know.
I'm surprised you didn't
flying under the radar right now. We're
all
fine with that.
That's
in
good.
Hawkeye land.
Nice position.
OU's got a couple of tough games out of the gate, that's for sure.
Early onslaught. I mean, you look at Houston, I mean, that's a really good football team. It's going to be a track meet. Then they play the Buckeyes. That's going to be a tough schedule the first month of the season. If they do get by the first month, I mean, they're going to be right there. But there's that three letters, SEC, that kind of creeps up in the back half of the season. So we'll see. But I think the Sooners will be in the mix.
I don't want to get you in trouble with an OU versus SEC comparison. Well, you can take to Twitter for that. That's fine.
No, I'll read your Twitter.
All right. Tony Casillas, he's had quite a summer in Alaska.
Big Alaska, king salmon,
all over the place.
I almost should have brought you some fish for.
It's not too late.
I'll ship it to you next time.
Right up here.
I'll make sure.
Tony, always great seeing you. We'll see you again often during this football season.
All right, bye. Thank you.